thought SummerSlam was alright. It was a lot better than WrestleMania. Adamania is what a bunch of people are calling it. Um, Interestingly enough, I think night one started off really hot. I don't think night two was bad. I personally thought that night one was actually the better night. Um, Although night one probably had the one match that I think I just didn't really care about, which was the women's tag team match.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but that was that was a match.
Yeah.
Although I like that one more than I just could not be bothered with Baron and Trick.
I was interested in that match. So okay, so here's my not my biggest. One of my biggest issues with SummerSlam in general is outdoor stadiums in the summer. There are so many entrances that almost thrive off of having a darker area, and when the sun is still out, even though it's 9 o'clock at night, that does not work aesthetically. Trick Williams' entrance, which happened at about 7 o'clock, maybe we'll say 7:30, depending on like pre-show shenanigans. When he's out there on that thing doing a little spin around, he does his whatever. The lights shine on him. He's supposed to look illuminated because he's supposed to shine like a diamond. At SummerSlam, it looked so goofy, and I was like, this doesn't work. But I mean, in terms of the match itself, I thought the match was cool. Definitely not a bad match. I can understand the whole I couldn't be bothered for it. Me personally, I have always been interested in seeing a good version of Baron Corbin, because when I started watching, he was just kind of middling in the main roster. Then he went down to NXT and had a killer run with Braun Breaker that I didn't see any of because I don't really watch NXT like that. So for me, this is like, all right, cool. This is a chance to get to see Baron Corbin actually be, kind of dangerous, because everyone has always said that he's been a fantastic wrestler. He's just kind of been a mid character. And in my humble opinion, the end of days should never be kicked out of, and so far it hasn't been. I just think it's really. I just think the end of days looks cool. I just think it looks cool.
Sammy will do it.
Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, if they're gonna give it to anybody, it would make sense to give it to Sammy, because Sammy kicked out of the 1D. I don't remember the entire card off the top of my head. I know night one had Liv and EO, which for as good of a match as it was, I really wish EO would have won that.
I was actually surprised she didn't, to be honest. I think it's better that she didn't, just so Liv won't have a 0 defenses and loses her first one reign.
Especially in over 100 days.
Yeah, but that's more of a problem you created by just not giving her matches. And I don't know what's going on backstage. I try to give them as much credit as possible in that department, because I don't know what the logistics are. That would have been a bad look if she would have gone in there and lost.
The grumblings on the interwebs, the reports are that they didn't want to do anything with Liv Morgan until Stephanie Vauquer was viable to compete. And so...
Stop being stupid.
After that, I remember it was the Usos versus LA Knight, Royce Keys, and Solo Sikoa, which actually I thought was a pretty fun match.
Yeah, that's all right.
I like that one. I don't remember what the third match was.
I think that was the women's joint.
Was that Fatal Influence versus the Bellas?
I might have. I think so. Don't quote me, but I think that's.
Okay, then that would make sense. Yeah, didn't care. Fourth match, which actually surprised me, was Cody versus Punk, which I'm just really surprised.
Hold on. Before you say any more, we'll just get this over with, because I've been dreading the moment. Congratulations, my friend.
I can't accept it because it wasn't a clean victory.
We knew it wasn't going to be.
Still, it feels tainted.
Fair. I mean, listen. I feel you. But you want to address the irony of the fact that these two have been on a collision course for however knows long now at this point, and the day that they meet is one of the few PLEs we did not watch together.
Crazy, isn't it? That's insane. Yeah. I was actually supposed to go. Oh my god. Oh my goodness. I was supposed to go on this trip with y'all. And then the only reason I didn't was because of Otakon.
Yeah, you bet on the right horse, brother. This time you bet on the right horse.
Yeah. So yeah, it was Cody versus Punk, which honestly, and I haven't heard anything negative about the match, but I thought that was a solid match. I thought it was, really cool.
It's a bullshit build.
Well, yeah, yeah. But I mean, what else is new? And then they had Brock versus Oba in a Hell in a Cell, which I really wish was a bit longer and a bit more like dangerous. But
it was lacking a little bit of hell.
Yeah, but it was nice to see the passing of the torch. Thank God, officially Brock Lesnar has come out and retired. He said that on the Pat McAfee show, and I believe him. So then you get to night 2. First match of night 2 was Trick versus Baron. Baron Corbin beats Trick.
4-way was first.
Was it first?
Yeah. Because they started with the return of your boy.
You're right.
Which is another, like, there were things that happened at SummerSlam that was just crazy that we weren't together. Like, KO's his guy. I mean, maybe not your guy, but, like, definitely one of your guys.
Yeah. Back when KO and Sammy were together, I was definitely a big proponent of that. And then KO turned heel, and I was like, man, I can't really rock with dude, but he kind of got a point. KO is one of those weird, maybe not weird, maybe weird is the wrong word. KO is one of those pointed characters where it's like he always feels human, right? Even if he's bugging, even if he's kind of wilding, he always is telling a pretty accurate representation of what is happening.
Because he watches the show.
Which I always appreciate, because it doesn't feel the same way that Drew McIntyre feels, because a lot of Drew McIntyre's I'm always telling the truth is him causing his own issues and then blaming everyone else for it.
Yeah, he leaves that part out, you know what I mean? Like,
exactly. Like, the reason why you got screwed over is because you literally Claymored Cody out of the Royal Rumble. Like, that's your own fault, big dog. But a lot of Kevin's gripes with people and issues, he comes from very realistic standpoints, which makes him almost a bit more relatable even when he is a heel. Like, Kevin's big issue when he was feuding with Cody was, how dare you team with this guy that has ruined the lives of a bunch of superstars over these past 3-4 years? And Cody was like, well, I'm doing it out of necessity. And he's like, that's cool, just don't expect me to be buddy with y'all because I don't rock with him. And, you know,
didn't really ask him to be.
Sure.
Just asked him to understand the situation.
And, one could say that Kevin probably went a bit too far, and I don't disagree with that. But I do think that Kevin was at least justified in saying, hey, this is not one of those situations where I can comfortably say the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Because you're right, the bloodline is going kind of wild, stupid, crazy right now. But also, I hate Roman Reigns. And there's nothing that's going to make that any better for me. Seth got away with it, and no one said anything to him when they went up to him and said, hey, can you be a part of our team for War Games? And he was like, I hate Roman Reigns, no. So I don't understand why Kevin doesn't get the same.
Well, the thing is, Seth just stopped at, I'm not going to help you. He didn't make himself an enemy after that. Well, I mean, he became a heel later on, but it wasn't like KO was like, I'm not gonna help you, and then after you actually helped him, I realized I just can't let that shit stand, and then he just attacked Cody. He just turned on them all together. You know what I mean? That's where for me the KO situation got to the point. I couldn't understand why people were saying, oh, he's justified. What do you mean? He's justified in attacking Cody, daggone near breaking his neck, stealing his title because he doesn't like the 18 with Roman. Like, stop playing here, bro. Cody didn't help Roman screw you over. Nothing happened that Cody was the proponent of. It was just the brand has a threat. And look, if we don't deal with this threat, he's going to be everybody's problem. So it's like, we're going to have to cross this bridge at some point. So, I'm QB1, so it's kind of my responsibility to handle these kinds of things. And let's be honest, if you do have a partner, Roman's one of the best partners to have. The guy is almost impossible to beat. You know what I mean? Like, that's a strong team. Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns is a strong team, bro.
Yeah. God, if they were ever like an actual tag team, they would have the tag belts for like the next 5 years.
For sure.
So yeah, you're right. The first match was a fatal 4-way, which wasn't originally supposed to be a fatal 4-way. Oh, that's right. There was a match that I was forgetting about night one, which is Nick Aldis versus Gunther. Solid match. Big ups to Nick Aldis for getting in the ring. Bro is jacked.
Yeah.
Dude, I was like, I know that he's got it, but like seeing him in his wrestling gear, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those are the 6 matches for night one. Night two, Nick Aldis is like, hey guys, I'm GM again, which a lot of people are like, okay, I guess. Me, I don't really care. I would love to see him as a wrestler, but the fact that he's GM again is cool.
Hey, we're settling a grudge, bro. Like, that's all that was.
Yeah. And so it's supposed to be Finn Balor versus Sami Zayn, which if that were the match, I would have bet on Finn Balor 10 times over. Then Nick Aldis comes out and is like, hey guys, by the way, I'm GM again, and I decided to add somebody to this match. And at first it was Gunther, which I was like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Like the second he was like, I'm adding someone to the match, I was like, it's Gunther. Then he was like, oh, by the way, I'm not just adding one person, I'm adding another person. And then it was Kevin Owens. And I was like, Kevin Owens is taking this. Hands down, I know he is. And he does. Bit of a short match, which kind of is the running theme for night two, is that the matches are a bit shorter than on night one.
Well, that's because they had to make room for the 4-hour extravaganza that was Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins.
Dude, we'll get there. But yeah, a bit of a shorter match, but Kevin Owens ends up picking up the victory. I wouldn't necessarily say I disliked the match. Once Kevin showed up, I was like, oh, it's a foregone conclusion, which kind of deflates you a little bit. But I still enjoyed the match. Then it was Trick versus Baron, which I was like, there's no way Trick's losing this, right? And then he does, which I was like, okay. Was it the interim women's next? I think.
Was that Paige and?
No,
that was not one. I'm tripping. We're talking about the ladder match.
Yeah.
I think that was next.
Yeah. So it was the women's ladder match.
I loved that.
It was a solid match. I will tell you, and I'll shout it from the heavens. I never a day in my life thought they would give that to Chelsea Green. I was watching it with my buddy Russell because he's gotten into wrestling, and since I had missed it over the weekend, he was like, "All right, well, let's just catch up on it." So we were watching together, and I was like, "So if I'm doing the math here, right? Chelsea Green's a joke character, so they're probably not going to give it to her. Jade and Charlotte have their own beef that is probably not going to be for the title, so it's not going to go to either of them. Tiffany already has a belt, and she's probably got a program after this with Fatal Influence, so it's not going to go to her. The only person that really makes sense after that would be Lash Legend, because they have been pushing Lash Legend, which I was like, all right, cool. So that was kind of my bet. I was like, you know what? It'd be cool to see Lash Legend, this young, up-and-coming new star, get this belt, even if she doesn't keep it forever. She kind of teeters between face and heel, although she's more heel than face. She has a lot of people behind her. So Lash Legend, I think she gets it. And they gave it to Chelsea Green, which I'm like, it's nice that she finally gets recognized for being effectively one of the workhorses in the company. And I don't particularly have an issue with her being the champion. I just think it's going to be, for all of the, and I mean like for the numerous amount of Chelsea Green fans, it is going to be a very sad day when a heel comes in and absolutely dog walks the heck out of her and takes that belt above her. Like, she's going to get dragged through the mud and she's going to lose that belt. And it's going to be a sad day for Chelsea Green fans. I'm not expecting that day to be anytime soon, but I think it definitely happens before Money in the Bank.
It's going to be next Friday when Nia sits on her.
Oh, for the love of Christ. I don't want Nia to have that belt again. I'm so sick and tired of Nia Jax.
I love my girl.
I know you do.
She ain't even been around in a while. Like, you haven't had to endure her for a good little minute, bro.
Sure. For me, Nia Jax is like the worst version of Cody Rhodes, where it's like, Hey, we need.
Very
I know. Let me finish. Let me finish.
Be so careful.
We need somebody who is relatively unstoppable in the title picture to have this person have a hill to climb. So we're gonna throw Nia Jax in there because Nia Jax is big and strong. Inversely to Cody, Cody is the person that they put in the title picture to kind of give that feel good moment. So Cody gets the belt and he takes out the big bad and he's got the belt for a little bit. They use Nia Jax as a way to be the person that they have to overcome, whereas Cody is the person that has to overcome the obstacle, which is why I say the worst version. Can Chelsea Green beat Nia Jax? No. This is like no.
I think she can beat her. She would have to roll her up, but she can beat her. Can she out wrestle her? Fuck no. Like Nia, although I was gonna say Nia's superpower was big as fuck, but she's been slimming down a little bit. So I'm with you that you're not gonna be able to convince me that Chelsea goes in there, scraps with her, and puts her on her back. Like, that will never happen.
No.
But get her caught up in the ropes a little bit. Maybe drag the apron up onto the thing. Throw her brassiere in her face or something like that. Blind her. Yeah, that's some trickery that she could dig into, especially when she has the power of unlikely champion. That is a buff.
True.
That is a buff, bro.
True. I mean, we'll see what happens. I think Chelsea Green's gonna have a fun run with the title for a little bit before. Realistically, I think the person who's probably gonna like yoink it up off of her is Blake Monroe if they ever decide to give her any screen time. After
You think it's gonna be Jordan Grace?
I hope.
You think Jordan Grace might come out of nowhere?
I hope Jordan Grace, like, because she was injured for a little bit, but then she came back from injury, and now she's just sitting in catering, eating like lemon chicken, and I'm just like, she's not just one of the strongest women on your roster, she's also one of the most popular. So like, there is a recipe here for having a really fun, strong superstar. And I think maybe that's part of the problem is like they've already got a bunch of strong women, so they don't want to oversaturate the market because you've got Rhea who's injured, you've got Jade, you've got Charlotte, you've got Jordan Grace, you've got Kiana James, you've got Nia Jax, you've got Lash Legend. To some degree, I would argue that potentially you have Michin, not necessarily BFAB, because BFAB is more lithe than muscular. And not that Michin is muscular, but she's strong. And I think you have a bunch of I am strong woman archetypes that throwing Jordan Grace in there kind of loses her in the shuffle. I just want her to do something.
You don't think Ivy Nile might not come out?
God only knows where she is. Is she on like main event or something? Then you had what arguably could have been the best match of the night if it had gone just a little bit longer, which was Chad versus Penta, because
that was a good one.
That
was a good one.
Them boys know how to fight. I'm so glad Chad Gable won. Listen, I think his cute little AI generated song is actually kind of catchy.
Yeah, like I can't hate on it. I can't hate. There's so much America coming from it, bro.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, cool.
I hope it's not AI generated and it's just like a Def Rebel song that I can finally be like, you know what? You guys got that one. But there are a lot of people who are like, I think it's AI generated, and I just hope not.
You want to take a free ride on the highway to the sky?
Gable. And then I don't think there was anything before that, or like before the main event. I think that was the last one.
It was Dom and Danhausen. Your bread and
the money's on the pole match. How could I forget?
I'm trying to.
I was watching that match and I was like, I know for a fact Hood hated every second of this. Yeah, he does not rock with Danhausen. Me personally, I love Danhausen. I think Danhausen is great. There are a lot of people, and hilariously enough, I think the Danhausen fad is starting to be over because there are a lot of people on TikTok, on YouTube, on X, on Instagram, on social media platforms that are like, please, for the love of God, either do something better with Danhausen or get Danhausen off my screen. And I'm like, I wish that the level of people who took wrestling seriously was the same amount of people that were okay with goofy wrestling. Now, this is coming from someone who hated the gingerbread stuff, so I realize this is pot kettle, and I have no real way to justify this. That being said, watching Danhausen and the Minihausens and Joe Hendry, it's just like there's just something that is funny about it in a way. Yeah, I don't know.
It's got that je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, there's something about it that's funny in a way, for me at least, that's like, oh, I can tell that this is not supposed to be taken seriously because they're telling me it's not supposed to be taken seriously, so I don't have to take it serious. I guess that's the thing, right, with the gingerbread man stuff, is they were like, no, this is very serious. This is a part of the story. We're having a funeral for this guy. Trick was very upset that Sami Zayn
Fair enough.
killed the guy, and it was literally just a suit. And I was like, why are you telling me to care about a stuffed suit only for it to be Lil Yachty resurrecting from the... So, like, that's the thing. And I don't know, maybe... Also, I never really take Dom all that seriously to begin with. So for me, this just feels natural.
He's the right kind of opponent. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I'll even be willing to meet you in the middle, bro. Like, I hope Danhausen doesn't lose his fans. Just do me a favor and keep him away from the main event.
Yes. I don't think he's touching the main event anytime soon. There was this really fun clip that popped up online where Obafemi was doing a dark match and Danhausen climbed into the ring and did his little Obafemi thing underneath, which like really shows you how big Obafemi is, because even though Danhausen was hunched over, he's still very small comparatively. And they did a little fist bump and everyone was like, oh, it's Oberhausen, and I'm like, good doubt.
Oh, and don't let the curse decide any more title matches. I don't ever want to see that again.
Yeah, there are a lot of people who were like, for the love of God, please don't let him get involved with Liv and Io, which, he didn't. It kind of does bring into a bit of question how the logistics of the curse work, because every week they're like, so-and-so is still cursed. And then Dan will reapply the curse and something bad will happen. So by that logic, Liv should have still been cursed in her match with Io. So by that logic, she should have lost that match. Even though the curse wasn't reapplied, it's supposed to be like this passive debuff. I don't know. Don't make no sense to me. I'm just along for the ride.
That's probably the best way to take all of this.
Yeah.
That's when it works.
And then you had the longest match of SummerSlam, which was Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns, burying the Shield hatchet, finally coming to grips and being like, hey, listen, we have had a tumultuous 12 years. Let's put it all behind us. They did the little Shield bump at the end. Excuse me. And I thought that was a fantastic match. I am hesitant to say, because I just don't agree, that this match was better than CM Punk versus Roman, but I can see why people would say that.
I can't.
There are people who are, there's a number of people who are like, this match was better than Roman's match at Mania with CM Punk. Which, me personally, I'm like, hard disagree. But
I didn't like either of the two people in the Roman versus CM Punk match. I gotta be honest, bro. That might be the best match I've seen since I started watching wrestling, bro.
Not even the mask versus mask?
That was a good one. It was a good, but like that's not best match I've ever seen. I mean, it was a good one. I still advocate that you watch that. But Roman versus CM Punk, like I don't know what wrestling was like back before 2023 when I was not watching it. But it feels like, since I've been watching wrestling, that the honest to goodness one-on-one match to see who is actually king of the mountain is just such a rare phenomenon. It shouldn't be, but it feels like it is. Maybe it does just feel like that, but it feels like that. And I'm hard pressed to think all of my favorite matches, like Cody versus Roman, both of them. Really a lot of Cody matches.
You know what I'm saying?
Gunther matches I can think of. A lot of them have some nonsense in there somewhere, some type of shenanigans, fun shenanigans, but shenanigans nonetheless. So I don't have a huge repertoire to pick from of just, I don't like you, you don't like me, let's settle this. And they just go until one of them can't go anymore. I have like 3 examples of that. I have Seth, Roman, Seth Punk, Rhea, Charlotte at 39 was a good one. And I mean, even Mass versus Mass wasn't an honest to goodness one-on-one. There was stuff in there.
Yeah.
You know, so I can't imagine entertaining the conversation that Seth and Roman. Now, I watch Seth and Roman through the lens of somebody who hasn't grown up with the Shield, so it doesn't have that nostalgic factor for me.
Sure.
So I'm sure that plays into it. When I think about Cody versus Roman 2, right? There will never be a match I like better than that, because there will not be a match that I bought tickets to a year in advance in hopes that I would get the match, just because the very first time I ever watched wrestling, I had a champion lost at WrestleMania, the very first WrestleMania I ever saw, in such a bullshit way. Like there were just so many factors that you can't recreate. So that's my nostalgia. I got engaged that day. You know what I mean? Like nothing will ever be able to top that. So I imagine for a lot of people, there will never be another Shield, and nothing will be able to capture that lightning in the bottle for them. And so watching that story have its end is certainly playing into that. So I can't take that away from it. So even as I initially dismissed it, I'm sure that it has a pretty powerful motor in the match. So okay, fair enough. It's not like it wasn't a good match. It's not like it wasn't a great match. I mean, watching when Roman picked up the chair, in my head, I had always said that the way their rivalry needs to end is Roman needs to beat Seth. Even though I don't like Roman, Roman needs to beat Seth, and he needs to beat him in a way that demonstrates that he is letting all of this go. They can't end as enemies. They don't have to be friends, but they can't end as enemy. We have to bury this. And perhaps this is cheating because we're talking about SummerSlam. This wasn't SummerSlam. I think his promo on Monday kind of fucked all that up. But in the moment, I was like, okay, cool. All right, fair enough. It was a great match.
Yeah.